gonna live stream in about 30 minutes or so. Come on now. Ugh.
There are memberships for all kinds of things today. There are memberships for all kinds of things today.
Yo, welcome to Flow Tricks. It is Ken. We are doing our Sunday night live stream that we've been doing since the beginning of COVID. Hope you guys are doing well. We are in October. We're almost done with 2020. It's insane. So I'm curious how everyone's been doing with their flow since COVID began. Do you feel that your skills have improved, stayed the same, or has there been less time to be able to train just due to all the things happening? I'm just curious where you guys are with that. Hope everyone's doing well. Just wanted to thank the sponsors of the channel. We've got Dark Monk, who makes all of my training chucks as well as most of my fire chucks. And then we also want to thank Flow Toys for the LEDs. They make amazing LED props. Amazing stuff, just amazing stuff. You've seen my staff, I'm sure. That's one of my favorite things to do. Love it. So, yeah, I've got a few things to talk about. First, though, always got to make sure this volume is working. We've been having some issues with volume. Last time it was a little quiet. Hold on. How's the volume levels, everyone? Is it okay? Are we good with the volume, or? Last time, it sounded like I was in a tunnel. I think I fixed that by this time, but I just want to make sure, so let me know. Let me know if there's any volume issues at all. And I'm going to just double check here. I'm going to give some shout outs, just making sure this is on. Someone could just type and say, yes, we're good. That would be awesome. I'm going to continue like it is working, though, because that'd be silly just kind of sitting here. Also, just want to thank all the patrons, because it's the Patreon donors that keep this channel thriving and moving and allows me to keep motivated and keep doing it. So I want to give a special thanks to all my big donors, which is Brian Acosta, Enru, Tyler Davis, Ray McDonald, Larry Vallely, David Brown, Paul Roman, Rave Ninja, Gary Murphy, Mark Thomas, and Malik Vessel. All good people, all just super helpful. I think I always want to shout out to the Patreon donors, just because, especially in COVID, man, when all my gigs were done and everything dried up, it was Patreon that kept me going. So I was able to focus on Flow Tricks a lot harder because of it. With that said, this is our live stream. So what we do here is, the whole purpose of this is for you to ask me questions. I can make random videos, and I enjoy doing those, but there's something also about just watching you ask the question live and having me show it to you live that I feel like it directly addresses what you guys are looking for. So with that said, ask me questions. For the next hour, you got me for whatever questions you want. Could be pretty much anything. And then also, if you have a video or something you want to share with me, I'm happy to look at it. My email address is ken.flowtricks, flowtricks @gmail.com. Go ahead and send me a video if you want it. If you don't mind me reviewing it in front of everyone else, I think that would be awesome. I believe that's just about my whole spiel right now. Give me just a second here. Oh yeah, the last thing I wanted to talk about was a question. Now, recently I just released on my YouTube a video. I have not released a video in a while because I replaced weekly videos with weekly live streams. There's always a limited amount of time, so I'm trying to find the best balance. But I wanted to pick your brain, because right now people are tending more towards pre-recorded videos as opposed to live streams. But you let me know, because obviously they said that over the pre-recorded video. Now I'm on the live stream side. Do you guys prefer, and gals, prefer live streams, pre-recorded videos, or give me your thoughts as to how you'd like to see that? You want to see me revolve between them, like maybe every other weekend do a live stream and then do a pre-recorded video of tips and techniques? Let me know. Would love to help you out. All right, let's go ahead and read off what people are writing. Again, please ask me questions. This is the time to ask. I think it's fantastic. First shout out to the first poster, which is Gregory. Whoop whoop, the master is streaming. Technician says, yo, what up, Nunchuck? My Chuck says, what up? Duff Flamingo says, wow, he is so great. Yeah, thank you. I'm assuming you're talking about me. But, you know, I'll tell you guys something, like, you just keep doing it. Just keep doing it every day. Just make yourself do it, even 10 minutes a day, and you'd be surprised how far you can go, even in a year or two. I think consistency is more important. You know, just doing it every day, just even if it's just a little bit. Yandertail, hey! What's up, Yandertail? Haven't seen you in a minute. I actually made it to the stream. I was able to send the video on Instagram, but not to your email. Okay. So I've got a video to check out on Instagram, I take it? Give me just a second, man. Okay, we'll cover that in a minute, I think. Let me just see if I can go. Yandertail, what is your name on Instagram? I have a few messages, that's why I ask. Let me know what your name is, and we can check that out. That'd be awesome. And then Crazy Monkey says, meanwhile, I'm still hitting myself on the funny bone doing basic noob swings. Dude, welcome to the club. I mean, I feel like everyone that started has hit a bone at one point or another. And I damaged like the inside of my funny bone in here where I couldn't even lay on my stomach for years. For years, it would hurt anytime I put any pressure on this because I used Nunchucks and I cracked this bone so many times that I permanently damaged it. It's a little better now, but it's still not 100%. But this has been like 9 years ago that I got that injury, which is why I'm a huge proponent for lighter nunchucks. I always talk about foamies, and it's only because I've had the experience of messing up my elbows. So, totally feel that, man. Let's see, that's Morticia says, oof, I'm seeing these awesome stuff now. I think I must really go back to my training. Yeah, you know, get inspired. Do some training. Ask me some questions. That would be great. All right. Gregory says, good. I'm assuming that's about the audio. Fantastic. We can hear you just fine, I think. That's great because I didn't change much, but I think I fixed the audio issue from last week. Master Petrosi, yes, we are good. What's up, IQ Flow? Good to see you are posting as well. Awesome. Morticia, balance of both. Okay, so people are saying both. People generally like both. And I can understand why, because these streams usually are a bit wordy, like I'm answering questions, whereas the videos are usually a lot more to the point. So I can totally see that. Maybe there's something about revolving between both of them, or even taking a live stream and just cutting out little pieces of the best parts and putting those as videos, because I do think that there's some really good lessons within these live streams, but I don't think people want to sift through the hour and a half of talking to find those golden moments. The rest of it's just trying to connect with you guys. Let's see here. IQ Flow, the live stream I think are good as it keeps everyone engaged, particularly during COVID. Good, okay. Great. Master Petrosi, any stretching? My shoulder hurts from practice. Sure, yeah, let's go over some stretches. Okay, cool. I see you right there. Yandertail, I just got it, so we can check on that. The performance ones you've been uploading are cool. It's good for inspiration. Oh, and hey, it's Laura has just joined us too. Oh, that's fantastic, everyone. Yeah, I've been doing a lot more performances lately. You know how I've been talking about COVID, out of work performance. This last couple weeks, things have been picking up. As a matter of fact, I'm going out of town for 4 days, only to return to do another fire show, and then the next day, I'm gonna do a private show. So it's like shows. I actually won't have a day of rest for 11 days. Something's happening every day, which is, I love that, you know, I love being busy. But the one thing I want to make sure that does not happen, that happened in the past, was I always want to make time for flow tricks. I'm definitely putting aside time always to do at least one thing for Patreon donors and one thing for YouTubers. So for just the general channel. I think I want to keep that because I really love connecting with you guys, and I feel like that was one of the biggest positives through COVID that I've had, was just reconnecting with y'all, because I was kind of a ghost because I was so busy, and I like this. Also, with that said, I'm going to get to answering questions in a moment, but don't forget that I have channels under Instagram. If you go to Instagram and if you want to find me there, I am Ken Hill Fire. Right? Instagram, I'm Ken Hill Fire. What you'll see a lot more different things. Like, here was a performance I did yesterday. You get to see a lot of the different things that I do that I don't always post anywhere else. This is just to kind of show you what I'm doing in the background. I'm visiting a lake, or I'm turning myself into fire, or whatever. So Ken Hill Fire on Instagram, or if you do TikTok, I think it's just Flow Tricks. I think I'm Flow Tricks on TikTok. I see a unicorn. I don't think that's me. Yeah, look up Flow Tricks. I'm pretty sure that's me. I'm pretty sure that's me. So Flow Tricks on TikTok, and Ken Hill Fire on Instagram. be sure to join. I think it'd be fantastic. There's just, I don't always want to throw a YouTube video for all of my little things that I do. I usually throw it on Instagram and TikTok just because it's quick, it's easy, it's fun, and YouTube I want to keep more for serious videos and things of that nature. Okay, so I want to start with some stretches. I'm going to write this out, and then we're going to go over to this video that was sent to me by Yandertail. Stretches, video. If you have questions from Yandertail, be sure to ask right now, as there's not a lot in the queue. And then I'm going to read down a little bit more, and then we'll get started. All right, so tell me some easy moves, at least 20 to 30 seconds. All right, sure, 20 to 30 seconds, easy moves for Instagram. That's no problem. Let's see what we got here. Oh, it's 4 a.m. Please visit India. We will roam and eat together, and you may live in my home. That's awesome. I actually do want to visit India, so I think if I do come, I will definitely make it known. Next year, like I said, I want to do a live world tour and teach all around the world, so I think stopping by India would be fantastic. Ike Flow says, cutting segments from the live stream is a good idea. Several other YouTubers do that, and it's good for promoting the live stream as well. I think that is good. I think a lot of times it's just so much information to sift through that I have 2 flies and they're bugging me. So much information to sift through that not everyone wants to do it, so I understand that. But there is some good information for sure. Okay, I'm actually in class, or I'm actually a class 12 pass student, but I adore you so much. Oh, awesome. Morticia says, this is my first time catching the live, so I'd like to ask a basic or maybe boring question for you. What made you get into nunchucks in the first place and evolve into the alternatives such as the fire one? And then what is my favorite tricks? Okay, favorite tricks. So I'm going to answer the question first just because this is like the talking phase, and then I've got stretches, Yandertail's video, 20 to 30 easy moves for Instagram, or seconds, and then my favorite trick. So the first question was by Morticia, and Morticia asked, what made me get into nunchucks in the first place? And I did martial arts for 12 years prior to doing it as an art form, and I kind of burned out. On martial arts. We learned a lot of arm breaks. It was very brutal style. There was no rules in it, so it wasn't like UFC where we couldn't hit below the belt. You could hit below the belt. You could do illegal moves. You just had to pull your punches, or had to pull it if you did. So I did that for 12 years, and it was very brutal and it was very awesome, but then I just burned out on it. Like, I wanted to, I don't know, you get tired of learning another way to break someone's arm or break some shoulder out, pop it out, you know? Like, we did a lot of that, wrist breaks and all that jazz. And so I just kind of took a break from it, and I wasn't sure if I was ever going to get back into it. And so I went into music instead because I wanted to do it as an art form. Lo and behold, I discovered flow arts, and realized that I could take my martial arts background and put it into something artistic. And for me, I think that's awesome because when I do my nunchucks, I feel like there's a level of progression that I can keep hitting, and I can make up moves that go beyond what I can do now. So it's like limitless for how far I can go. So I love that, and then I realized too that I could make this a passion that I could make a part-time or even full-time living. I mean, it's never easy to make a full-time living as a performer, but I do it. And so I eventually was able to quit my day job and teach and perform as my passion, as my profession. It's never easy. This is not an easy path at all to take, especially when I was in this nice kosher computer job. But it's so rewarding. Like, there's nothing like it. Just like yesterday was like, okay, I know I'm talking a lot, so I want to get to it. I have this habit of just going off. But yesterday, like, I'm going to show you guys this. Yesterday was like, this is what I was doing, you know. This was what I was doing. And you see those kids there? They're like super stoked, so super happy. And it's like, this is my job. Like, I get to make people happy. Pretty good job. Pretty good job. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over some basic stretches. You probably have seen me do these stretches before, but I wanna make sure that you guys have this. Let's go into this. And you're gonna see the brand new camera as well. You've seen this camera, you probably have seen this camera if you were in the live stream, but brand new. Using a DSLR. Oh, hold on one second. What is this? Sorry, guys. Give me just a second here. I think my volume's off. Is this volume off? Can you hear me? Hold on. Wow. Oh no. Oh no. Not good. Okay.
You might be able to hear me, kind of. My microphone cable broke in half mid-live stream. Like, completely broke. Like, the end is completely gone. The problem is it's not a micro USB, it's one of those mini USB ports, which I don't know if I have one. Give me just a second while I look and see. If I can find one, awesome. What are the odds of that? Seriously. Wow. No. You guys get to see me rummaging through stuff. I don't know. I hope you guys can hear me enough to know what's going on right now. One sec. Here, I'm gonna. It's gonna give me like 5 minutes. I think I have this cable, but I can't find it. You won't be able to hear me if I'm teaching and I'm standing back there. This microphone that's up here is really not that sensitive, so I'll be right back. This will work. This is a really small cable, but I don't have a whole lot of these special kinds of USB cables, unfortunately. Let me just see if I can find the culprit. Just unplug this for now. Okay, I think this should work. Boom. Just give me one more second, and I think we're back in business. I think. Let me just delete out the old. Okay, it's gonna go quiet for a second here.
Audio. Okay, are we good? Are we back? Can you hear me? I hope you guys can hear me now. I can't believe the cable snapped in half in the middle of the session. It bent and it just completely bent straight off, and we lost all of our audio. I believe we're back though. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm gonna try to get it over to the main camera as well. We'll go over to the main camera. Add source. Okay. Let me know. Can you? I think we're good. We should be able to hear something. Can you hear me? Maybe out of sync a little bit. That's okay. We'll figure that out later. But I'm gonna double check and make sure. So my voice is a bit distorted, huh? Okay. If it's a little distorted, this is exactly what happened last time. Which, do you guys remember? I've been having audio problems a lot. Last time, it sounded like I was in a hallway, and I bet now I think I understand what happened. I bet that this cord was probably breaking off for like a week or two, and maybe last week it sounded like I was in a hallway because it was slowly bending and I just didn't see it. But we're good now, I think. So let me go ahead and get back. Let's get back on track here. I was just bragging about the new camera. I feel. There we go. The audio might be a little bit off right now. I'll check it out because there's a little bit of a lag as it runs through the DLSR camera. So let me know if that's a little annoying and we can work on that. But let's just go ahead and work on some stretches to start with. Even if it's a little bit out of sync, I think, hold on one second here. If I remember right, I just have to put like a little bit of a delay on here. Just let me know. I can put it on later. Usually when you want to do stretches, especially for your shoulders, you want to start at your wrists. We're just going to go to the wrists and the shoulders because these are the most things that you do. I generally like to warm up my hands, my wrists, before I do any stretches. So before I stretch, I might do a little bit of lightweight spinning just to get my hands warmed up, especially if it's cold. I don't necessarily like to do a lot of spinning until I'm warmed up a little bit. And I never start with high intensity spinning unless I wanted to jack up my wrists. I've done that too many times. So you can either spin a little bit or stretch your hands like this. You just kind of flick it like you're flicking water out of your hands. And then my favorite stretches to do all come from martial arts. One is you kind of put your palm, it's facing towards the ground. You reach over the top like this, you grab the top, so it's almost like bending like a crank, right? You keep your elbows straight and you just kind of lift this up. And as you lift up, you twist inward like this. Now the goal of this is not to hurt yourself. What you want to do is just find a nice light stretch here. You should feel a little bit of pressure, but you never go too far with this. It's more important to hold it longer than it is to make it hurt and to go hard. So 30 seconds is a good length of stretch, 1 minute even. And then once you get through that, I'm not gonna go through the whole thing. You can let it down and you go to the other side too. 30 seconds to a minute. If you feel a little pressure, if you feel a little bit of soreness, go gently, but hold it there. It's probably good for it a little bit, as long as you're not pushing too hard. The next kind of stretch that I like to do is, you've seen a lot of these stretches already. If we're grabbing here and the elbow is straight, now I'm gonna reverse my grip. So before I was just kind of pulling this up towards my chin. Now we're going to take the hand and bend it down like this. So it's 90 degree turn downwards like this. And instead of grabbing with my fingers on this side, I'm going to grab the opposite way and lift this. This is almost like a crank that goes up and down like this. So again, we grab here. This is how we've been doing it for the last stretch. Now we're going to twist and rotate it. And what we're thinking of is this is a lever that needs to go upwards. So it's facing down now and we're pulling it up here. Again, the main thing about this stretch is make sure that you don't hurt yourself. You should feel a nice tension, but don't go overdo it because you can hurt yourself. But if you do these kinds of stretches, not only I feel like can it help with spinning and kind of release some of the pains you can do, especially if you overstretch your hand by going too hard, but I just think it feels good too, you know? It'll help prevent injury as well as feel good. So again, 90 degrees. 90 degrees, so bend here, reach over the top, and then just kind of pull it up. Think pinky finger towards the nose, like that. Boom. Oh my God, that feels good. You'll find that your wrists take a lot of when you're spinning nunchucks, they just go through a lot, you know. They go through a lot and you never really realize it until you actually start working it out. So the next one we're gonna do is we're gonna karate chop our nose like this, right? We're gonna grab the fat part of the thumb with our hands, and then the other thumb is gonna push right on the pinky finger, right here, right? And what we're gonna do is basically we're gonna pull downwards as we twist our thumb outwards like this. So this is gonna go down, and as it's going down, this hand's twisting out like this. So it's a nice, again, it's a nice easy stretch. And we're just twisting and pulling down like this, and then you hold it. And if you want, you can slowly go up, slowly go down. Never go too fast with these. Just go until you get a nice little stretch. Wave hello to everyone. What's up? And back up. This is a good stretch. I like this. After this, we're going to go into some shoulder stretches. We're going to do the other thing now. Karate chop the nose, grab the other side. Remember, I'm doing this a little bit faster just because this could be, literally you should be stretching 10 minutes, you know, 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes even, if you're really going for flexibility. I'm just kind of bulldozing through this, so. All right, done. Now, shoulder stretches, your shoulders can get really tired really fast, right? And I don't think shoulder stretches will give you a whole lot more endurance, but having that flexibility will definitely help. It will definitely help when you're spinning. You can build the endurance by continually doing it, but especially if you have to compensate for a lack of mobility, your shoulders will take it hard. Like, good shoulders is like generally good for spinning altogether. So the shoulder stretches are simple, but they're also effective for techniques. So the first one that I like to do is you just hold your arms out like this and really push towards your fingertips, almost like you're pushing outside of your hand. So you're almost like trying to extend past where you can reach, and you should feel a much better stretch. And then as you go up and over into a circle, I really want you to push out. I really want you to push out the whole time and really feel that stretch. Once you get back behind here, you take your shoulder blades and really like try to press them together. So what we're really looking for is a nice deep stretch. Not necessarily just swinging our arms in a circle. This does not nearly do as much as really being conscious about extending past our fingertips. Almost like when you punch past your target. When you stretch, we're extending past it. We're not going fast at all. What we're actually doing is we're pushing beyond it, and we're experiencing and we're being aware of how it's affecting our shoulders and our muscles. Remember to tuck those shoulder blades in as you're going upwards. You can really feel it tighten up. And then as we get to here, it's almost like it's pulling itself forward. But then once we get to our hips, it's almost like we're pulling it backwards behind us. So you'll feel a different kind of stretch depending on where the hands are. Always like gets me, man. So we're going opposites, you know. One hand's going clockwise, the other's going counterclockwise. So then you want to go the other way too. Again, we're stretching out and we're really reaching for this, really reaching for that, right? Now I have two dislocated shoulders, so I have lost a bit of flexibility, and I find these shoulder stretches to be really helpful. So we have this direction, and then you also have same direction, which is pretty simple too, right? We just go straight forward, behind. But again, these may seem like stuff that you've done even in kindergarten, but if you're not really pulling beyond your fingertips, if you're not trying to experiment and explore what muscles are engaged, it's a completely different experience as you move slowly to see if you can pull your back a little bit more, just round it off a little bit more to really feel that stretch as opposed to just going like this. This is a huge difference. And a matter of fact, building your body awareness for the kinds of muscles that need to move for this is going to be extremely helpful. The reason why we go slow is so you don't do it incorrectly. You don't want to like overexert. You don't want to go fast while you're doing this, especially if you're trying to reach beyond your limit. Right? So we have that, and then the drill I love to talk about, a good shoulder workout, is is where each hand is basically in the opposite direction. So when one's at 3 o'clock, the other's at 9 o'clock, and I'm just standing sideways and moving my hands in circular motion like this. And I'm going to go a little bit faster. So now we're not going so much for the stretch as just kind of warming up the arms. So this one's a little bit different. In here, I'm still stretching forward. And really, whenever my hand's in front, I'm really kind of pushing past my hand here. but I'm not focusing on the awareness so much as getting this nice timely movement down. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch to the other side and we're gonna go backwards. So we start off here and we do the exact same thing except for backwards. Keep in mind the hands are always in opposite positions and we go backwards. Now, this stretch, again, you can see I'm doing a little bit faster. These are all very simple stretches, but what's cool is these are all a part of movements that you can do with nunchucks, as well as stabs or anything else. The last thing we're going to do with these stretches, and then I'm going to go on to the next question, is combine these together. So as we're going forward here, right, the moment this is at my hip, I can turn straight forward like this, and then by the time it goes to my other side, goes to my hip, I'm back, I've turned again. So again, we're here, left side is at the hip, I turn, both hands are forward, I turn again, right side's at the hip, and now I'm going backwards. And what you can do with that is essentially get this motion down where you can move back and forth. And you'll be able to get these spiral-like movements with the nunchucks as well. If you hold them in your hand, that's an actual move. So not only is it a good stretch, it is a really good stretch too. You really reach out, really opens those shoulders up. Not only is it a good stretch, it just helps in general with everything. And I love the stretches too because it really wants to make you extend beyond, because most people when they nunchuck, it's all at the chest and stomach level. So getting those stretches is really good. Okay, we did that, and we're gonna look at Yendertail's video, but I see so many like messages. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything really quick. Give me just a second. Okay, it's okay. Take your time. We hear you. Cool. It's a little low. This would do if you can't find a cable. It just means you're human. Yes, that was. Lately, it's been some technical difficulties, right? I was happy I was able to catch you live. No, I'm glad you were able to make it. I'm really man, you know how much of a bummer it'd be if I did these live streams and no one showed up? So I'm really glad y'all are here, really. All right, perfect. Can hear you, just can't see you. No, it's clear. It's their network problem. It's clear, can continue. Okay, audio's fine. Fine audio, it's good. Okay, I posted a video on Instagram and was wondering if you could possibly give some feedback on it. Yeah, if you posted a video, just find Ken Hill Fire and message me. I'm on Instagram. I'm Ken Hill Fire, all one word, KenHillFire. Send me a message, and I'll take a look at it. Master Petrosi says, "Nice, thank you. This was really helpful. Awesome. Oh, okay. So we're gonna go look over Yendertail's video, but I wanted to show you one more thing about stretching that I've almost completely forgot. We've gone over stretching quite a bit, but it's stretching. It's good for you, right? Something you can do is think about your nunchucks to help you stretch. This is something that was, actually I was talking with a guy about different ways to use nunchucks, and he has this revolutionary idea that I can't talk about yet. But one thing that has been taught in the past is using nunchucks to help you stretch, especially behind your back. So I'll show you, this is a really nice stretch, and it's basically behind the back pass like this. So you just do it behind the back pass. And again, you're going to do this very lightly, and this really helps, especially with my shoulders. And you're just basically, once you grab here, you're just giving it a nice gentle pull until you feel a stretch right here in your shoulder. Now this is one of those ones where, again, you have to be very careful with your shoulder. So the moment you feel pressure, hold it there. Anytime you feel a little bit of pressure build up in the shoulder, hold it there. For someone like me where I had dislocated shoulders, I have a lot of damage in both my shoulders, so I'm very cautious when I do a move like this. Most people can probably just go up, a lot farther than I can, but this is definitely one that you want to be very careful with, but it's a great shoulder stretch. And if you think about it, you can use the nunchucks for a lot of different stretches. This is just one of my favorite ones because the nice thing is you can control the amount of force on your shoulder simply by lifting it up. You have a lot of control with this. And of course, there's going to be a lot more different ways you can stretch with it, but I was just going to show you that one. I'm going to continue on with more questions, but just think of ways that you can stretch with the nunchuck. Now we're going to go over Yendertail's video. Let's go back to the website. Here we are. Let's do it. All right. Nice, blue belt. We may not be able to hear you. Ooh. Fantastic. Look at that. You got the under the legs. Got the passes. You got the throws. You're even getting into the digit rolls. The Undertale, this is great, man. Good. Oh, nice. Killing it, my man. Killing it. Wow. That was really good, man. That was really good. I think that that's a fantastic video. I think you have a lot going on with that. Did you have a specific question in mind for me? Like, were you trying to wonder like where to go next, or were you looking at like how does this look like as a performer or as a martial arts tournament? Or there's a lot of different ways that a critique can happen. For instance, if I was looking at it from a performer standpoint, I could say that you have fantastic tricks, but I would hold some of those moves a little bit longer to get the audience to clap for you. And I would watch your footwork when you watch the video, look at the way your feet are, and think about how great your hands look, and see if you can make your feet kind of as alive as your hands. That doesn't mean that it's moving around a lot, but just maybe some deeper stances, a little bit more movements in that part. I think that all of that would be helpful. In terms of techniques, you have enough techniques to be able to sell it as a performance easily. But the presentation, I feel like, could be extended a little bit more by simply holding it a little bit more, widening your stance, a little bit more sharp movements, slowing it down, speeding it up. These are a lot of the same the same advice I usually give with performances, which is usually the techniques are stellar, and your techniques are fantastic, and you've got a good speed. And yeah, I think the rest of it now is going to be kind of getting your body to be just as awesome as your hands, getting the movements and your footwork to reflect that. And it could be something very simple, just something that draws the eye in. So in performance, they call them lines, you know, and it's the same thing as like, if we did a tuck, or if we did like a tuck, that's like we shift our body into it. It's a little bit different than if we just did a tuck here, right? Or a clutch, but it's the same technique, but we have a different type of motion to present it. And I feel your techniques are intense, but the body is a little bit relaxed. And I feel if you were able to sharpen it up, you know, a little bit of sharpness here and there, I think that especially with your big techniques, having something sharp and then stop it would just draw in the audience. Now this is of course coming from a performer standpoint. If we're talking about a spinner standpoint, I would say I love the integration that you have. Maybe switch it between your dominant and undominant hand a little bit more. So get that left hand in there a little bit more. Maybe do things that require both hands. So that way you have this full integration between both movements. You know, moving from left to right, back and forth. These are all just like little minor things, really. You've definitely put in the time. You can tell you put in the time for your techniques, so that's good. And one more thing I wanted to show was that behind the back throw, if you looked at it, your planes were just a little bit off, so you had to chase it. So one thing that might help you with that one is just remember to give a little bit more of a twist, like really torque that hand right at the end, so it lands right in front of you. Here, that way you don't have to chase it. So I hope this helps. Hold on one second here. Come on now. I hope this helps. I love that video. I think it's great. You've got a lot of skills there, man. So let me know if you had any other questions about it. I'm gonna move forward for now, but let me know if you do have any other questions about the video that I noticed or that you'd like to hear about. I think it's great. All right. Next, we're going to do 20 to 30 seconds of easy moves for Instagram. Let me just double check and see what we got here. Glad I make it. Thanks for doing your thing, bro, says Kasim. Ah, you're most welcome. You're most welcome. Yep, we're about to do the 20 to 30 second Instagram video. It's 5 a.m. in India. Wow. Yep. Okay, we'll get on that right now. Let me just get these last 2 questions. I'm Brazilian, but I do not speak English. I like nunchucks. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you were able to at least type enough to say hi. So, thank you. And then Kasim says, where can I get decent chucks? I'm tired of using cheap, crappy phone ones that break easily from Amazon. Also a student. You can build your own, to be honest. I know a lot of people that build their own nunchucks. That might be the way to do it if you're on a budget, especially because nunchucks can be made with just about anything. I've seen them made by magazines. Oak chucks are very popular. My whole thing is maybe just get some elbow pads if you're working on the heavier chucks that can damage you. But I don't necessarily have a specific nunchuck that I could recommend outside of Dark Monk because I love those. These are my favorite training chucks, but they can be, if you're looking for a budget type of thing and they're not foamies, I think the next thing that you're going to be looking at is going on like the Century Martial Arts catalog or something where you can get like nunchucks for like $20 to $30. You just have to be you got to look carefully. I like graphite nunchucks if I'm not using foams or like I think graphites are really fun, but they are really hard on the hand. But they're super lightweight and fast, and they're pretty brilliant looking. So I like those too. But like I said, you could build your own as well. So let's talk about 20 to 30 second moves for Instagram really quick too. Now, I covered this last time, but one of the trickiest parts about coming up with a long combo of moves is 2 things. One is I don't know where you are with your training, and if you're in a different place with training than what I show you, then you won't be able to do these moves. And the other is 20 to 30 seconds can be very intense. I could take my whole 10 years of training, I could take 10 years of training and put it in 30 seconds of work. So what we're really looking for is a way to repeat the move without making it get old. So one of my favorite beginner moves, because it's a nice combo that you can just keep working it, is basically using rips and hand rolls. So I like this as a start. I feel like this is a good way to begin, and there's a lot of moves that can come with it. So I'm going to show you a few moves, and then we're gonna work off that. Now I'm not going to show you 20 to 30 seconds, but this will help you build your own combo. First, whenever you get stuck on something, do either a figure 8 wrist roll or do this rip combo. And basically the way it works is the figure 8 wrist roll is going to my side, as you can see. My chest is forward, and I'm doing a figure 8 wrist roll behind me and in front of me. Behind me and in front of me. The reason why I do that is because it sets me up to be able to grab it. When I go front to back grip, I can reach down and grab it. So if I'm going here, right, front to back grip, back to front grip, front to back grip, grab from the top, and we're over here. Then once we do that, I can rip. So we're going to do this again, figure 8 wrist roll, figure 8 wrist roll, figure 8 wrist roll. And then the moment I do my hand roll in the front, I'm going to reach down and I'm going to grab it. Then the hand that is facing towards the sky, the one that's going upward, so it's the back grip one, flings up, and then we do a hand roll on the other side. So this requires you to know the figure 8 wrist roll with both hands. And not only with both hands, but being able to do a figure 8 wrist roll in front of you instead of to the side. I'm trying to point this down a little bit more. Hold on one sec. So again, we're going to go start here, figure 8 wrist roll, figure 8 wrist roll, figure 8 wrist roll, grab. And then we're going to rip it. Rip, figure 8 wrist roll, wrist roll, wrist roll, grab. Wrist roll, wrist roll, wrist roll, grab. Wrist roll, wrist roll, wrist roll, grab. And we just go back and forth with this. This is going to be a good starting point to making a long one, right? If you know the X catch, anytime you can go straight into that, boom, right there. Okay, so you'll be doing this. If you learn the X catch, boom, right there. If you know any X catch variants, like the pull through, do it right there as well. We're going to keep to this to start with, okay? Boom. And then we're going to build off it just a little bit. I'm going to show you a couple variations that you can do, and this can help you build a nice combo. The first one is, once you do this, also keep in mind you can do your rips right in front of you. So we're just going to rip now without doing the wrist rolls, and this is going to be a part of your move. Now this, if you do this enough times, this looks kind of boring. I don't want to say that people are going to be bored, but if I did this for 10 seconds straight, it's not as interesting as if I move my hand in space with it. So now what I want you to do is explore moving your hand in space doing the same move. This will allow you to do the technique a little bit longer without it getting stale. So now we're going to go wrist roll, wrist roll, wrist roll, rip. Wrist roll, wrist roll, wrist roll, rip. And then we'll do these motions, rip, rip, and just choose different spots around to get this to work. And then anytime you're ready, go into an X catch from there. So now we have this pattern that we're building, as you can see. We've got this part, and then we've got rips going all directions. And if you really feel comfortable with it, you can do anti-rips too by going the opposite direction, right? These are all just rips though, really. We're just moving our hands in space. And then once you get comfortable with that, X catch. Once we get the X catch, pull backwards and go into that motion. This is an X catch where the hand that's on top pulls across and becomes a back to front hand roll over here. Whoosh. If you can't do that, just get back to your X catch like this, and then we're going to go back to this pattern here. Now, next what we're going to do is we're going to do a wrist roll, but we're not going to wrist roll when we get to the front. Instead, we're going to throw it underneath our arm. So just practice this throw like this. So we'll go wrist roll, and then my arm is going to swoop in a circle. You can hold your arm out just to kind of think that the nunchuck has to go past the arm and back. The way this works is my arm is swinging down, and the moment it comes up here, I flick it up and pull backwards and open my hand. So now we can go here to here, whoosh, catch. This may take some time, and I'm probably going to finish it right there, but this is a good start because the rest of your 20 to 30 seconds can just be a variation, or you can extend off that. So again, to recap, the idea that we have here is to start with a hand roll, start with wrist roll, figure eight wrist roll to the right, grab it into a rip, go to the left, right? Grab it again. Now we can do a couple rips and we can move it around like this, give it some interesting stuff. X catch if you want. You can undo the X catch if you want to, go back to wrist rolls, and then throw it under and catch it. From there, do whatever you like. The throw may take a little bit of time. That's probably the most advanced of all of these, but for the most part, I would say these are all lower intermediate to beginner moves. So some of these might take a little bit of practice for sure, especially the X catch to a rip. Wow, the X catch to a rip. If you're not comfortable with that one, that might take a little bit of time. But otherwise, I feel like that's a good solid foundation. I hope that helps. Another question that was asked was my favorite trick, and it always changes. My favorite trick always changes. You know, I've been working on reverse rebounds a lot lately, which is basically trying to use the motion of the chuck to stop it in mid-flight. So somewhere along the lines, this is flying in the air, and then my hand just kind of pads down and stops the chuck, and then I pop it the other way. I just like it because it's complicated. It's a tough move to nail, but that's called a reverse rebound. I've been really enjoying that one. I don't know, man. Like there's so many like nunchucks. There's so many moves. Some days I'm really into the infinite X catches here. I love these ones too, just because I feel like there's a lot of different motions you can do. You can roll it through. You can go around. You can create triangles like this. Oops. You gotta watch out though. The problem is infinite X catches are one of the hardest moves in terms of hitting your arms. It's really easy to hit your arms because the chuck is so close to your body the whole time. So you always have to kind of keep your arms extended with that. I have so many moves that I enjoy, and it just depends on my mood. Sometimes I love throws, and then other times I love doing hyper style. I don't know, it just keeps varying. So, but that's what I've been on lately is just the reverse rebounds. I think they're really fun. All right, I'm gonna go back here. I think it's time to read off more questions and see what everyone's up to here. All right, so Dice Grinders, do you have a link? Yendertail, thanks a lot. I don't learn nunchucks as a performer, but more as a martial arts nunchuck freestyle, like some kind of things would be presented, like some kind of martial arts competition. Sure. So Yendertail, if we're talking about martial arts from the martial arts standpoint, then I think one thing that would be helpful with your freestyle would be the incorporation of blocks and strikes. Your flow is really down, but sometimes, like, you got a really good flow. Sometimes, though, the instructors, almost all instructors, would appreciate some sort of kicks or punches. And I'll give you a good example here. Let's take a look at this video again real quick. There's a part here where you throw a kick, but you could really like throw a outside crescent kick in. Where was that one? See, this is all really good right here. I think though some incorporation of strikes and then some deep stances I think would definitely be helpful if it's like a martial arts. Right there, those could be kicks right there. So let's go ahead and look at that for a second. Now I am not stretched with my legs, so excuse this for a second. But there's a good example is if I'm rotating the chucks, this is going clockwise. I can throw whoosh a round kick, or I can do a front to back hand roll and stall it. So front to back hand roll, stall. But as I stall it, I'm going to throw a front kick here. Now, usually I used to have a lot more flexibility, so this foot would be launching all the way up. It'd be an axe kick basically, but I'm using the back of my my calf muscle to knock the chuck down, boom, which launches it straight into a throw. So in that way, it's like boom, and it drops it straight down. I just feel like some kicks I think would look really good. Or if you're doing an outside crescent under the leg, you can definitely do it. If you do a number 3 bounce here, oh, I missed it. You thought I haven't thrown a kick in a while. My problem is my flexibility is something to be. I need to work my flexibility on my legs. But if it's over here, whoosh, you can throw like an outside crescent, boom, boom. You can throw these kinds of kicks with that same throw that you just did. And from a martial arts tournament standpoint, I feel like that would be that'd get their attention. Because I've only done a couple, but I have done a couple of martial arts creative weapons tournaments, and I've won, which is nice. I won first place, but I really had to focus on striking on top of the freestyle. Every instructor is different, obviously, but it can't hurt to add those in. All right. Staffy says, are wrist rolls harder with nunchucks with the chain than the ones with a tether? Not really. What's more important about your rolls is the length of them. Once you go beyond the length of this fist, if these are hanging down, like if I was grabbing it and the rope was hanging down this much from my fist, that's extra length. This is actually a fine length, but it's right at the edge of fine. This is a fine length, but if it's too long, that's when you're gonna run into the most problems. You can totally, I started with chain and it's totally doable. Let me go grab a chain actually. So the cool thing about a chain is that you definitely feel when you're on the chain as opposed to when you're off the chain, and they're the same because they always have these swivels here. You can always just kind of feel when you hit that swivel. So as long as you know where that swivel's at, it's really not much different than with rope. You will run into different things, like when you're trying to do a wheel, it's going to be a little bit harder. There are certain moves that are harder to do with chain, but when it comes to doing hand rolls, it's usually not that big of a deal. What we're really more concerned with is the length. Make sure that it's the proper length, and if it's too short, you have to compensate for that by grabbing lower. So if your chucks are short, like this short, like the speed chucks, then you have to grab lower, so that way when it rolls across your hand, it rolls the other way. An easy way to tell where to grab if you're not sure is to just grab whatever chuck you have, right? Say you experiment here, and then just literally roll it through your hand to see where your hand would end up if it went across the back of your fist like this. So this is exactly where this would land if I did the proper hand roll. This would be a good way to tell, because now just pretend this is all chain all the way up to here. This isn't, but if I did the hand roll example and I ended up gripping the chain, then I know that my chain is obviously too long, and I either have to do a compensation by making this a double roll, like a double front roll, got to do like an extra roll, or you have to slide your hand during the roll. You have to do a lot more modifications. It's a lot harder, or you cut the chain. Yundertail, I'm working on body motion soon. I'm going to start doing doubles. Awesome. Yeah, I think that's sick. I really liked your video, man. It was really good. How do you make your weak hand strong? My left hand doesn't work good. I wish I could tell you that there was a magic formula for this. The real answer is you just have to do it. You have to make yourself do those moves, even though you don't like them. And nobody likes using their bad hand, but that's the only way to get better. What I like to do, and I'm not a normal teacher in this way. A lot of teachers go against this. A lot of teachers will tell you to learn the techniques on both hands the same, but I like to say learn different moves with your left hand than with your right hand. And the reason why I say that, there's many reasons why I say that, but the most important one is that some moves, like figure eight wrist rolls, you should have both hands down, but a lot of moves you don't necessarily need to know with both hands, right? But when you're having problems with your left hand, if you give your left hand a technique that your right hand can't do, one, you don't have to compare it. You don't have to compare, oh, my right hand can do it, but my left hand can't. You will teach your left hand to be just as good as your right hand could be, you know? So if you give your left hand an excuse to learn a technique, especially if your right hand doesn't know it, it's a little bit easier to do it, even though you're going to struggle with it a little bit more at first. Another reason why I like to teach my hands different techniques is simply because when I'm flowing and when I'm doing my freestyle flow, whenever I switch hands, I have a different style of spinning. So like my right hand has a different style than my left. Now if I learned both moves on both hands, basically it'd be the same style. But I personally think that teaching your hands different styles just gives you more moves. I mean, you just have more moves that you can do, really. You don't have to think about it. What I do naturally here is different than what I do naturally here. So when I swap, all of a sudden you see all these different motions without me having to think about it. I do think there's a limit of how many techniques you can just kind of store and do unconsciously. So I tend to like to think of a lot of moves and styles, as well as teaching hands different ways. So like I'll be like snake style or hyper style, or breaking it up into those things is just like knowing a bunch of different kung fu, you know, styles, and then just going into those individually. I feel like it's just a great way to retain moves, really. Yeah. Kasim, you were actually monumental to me learning about this awesome hobby. Can't thank you enough. That's awesome. I'm glad. You know, one of these times, if you want to send me a video too, be happy to take a look at it. The reverse rebound actually looks sick. You're out here breaking the laws of physics. Yeah, you're definitely playing with the laws of physics. I wish I could break it. If I could break the laws of physics, I would make boomerang chucks. I'd throw it 30 feet that way and then have it catch it behind my back. That'd be awesome. Undertale. I do a bit of tricking, and the reason I'm not doing any rebounds or strikes because the court is super close to breaking. Yes, you will definitely break them if you do some of those bounces that I was doing. On this video, I was focusing more the moves than the movement. Yeah, man. Well, and the whole thing with that, Undertale, is that your moves were so good that I had to focus on something else, because I feel like if you were to bring that to a martial arts demonstration, you'd be fine. But I had to give you something. Like I always want to give people something. So I'm looking at these other factors because I feel like your flow is sharp and you've got a great selection of moves. You got that. So yeah, now it's really just the incorporation of all these other things, as well as maybe fixing that rope. You definitely don't want it flying and hitting a judge. Yeah, that was fantastic, man. Thanks, Ken. I'm now motivated. It's 5:30 a.m. Good night. See you soon. Yeah, have a good night. Thank you for joining me. That's really late. Do visit India, please. Want to meet you once in life. Okay. Let me figure out how I can get to India. I've got to have enough people to want to take the class where I could make it work. You know, that's the whole thing. I just need to have enough demand in India to where I can fly down there and at least get everything covered. So Alpha Zero says, gotta rush to a Zoom meeting. Have a great night. Good to see you again, man. With that said too, does anyone else have any other questions? We're hitting about the hour mark, which is where we start to wind down a little bit, so I can get any last questions for this week. Really, I think that I'm really excited to see where everyone takes their nunchucks. I think 15 years ago, 10 years ago, the nunchuck community was vastly different than it is now, and we've really expanded. We've got a lot more tricks. It was a lot easier to wow people 10 years ago. A lot of the tricks that I did were like super cool back then, where now it's just like a part of the norm. It's no longer like this revolutionary thing. But that makes room for the next gen of Nunchuckers, which is you guys. You guys are the next generation. So I hope that you take my techniques and you modify it and you make it better. I mean, that's the whole goal. And you see it in UFC as well, like the original Ultimate Fighting Championships. They all had their own styles, but slowly, as the evolutions went through, it like grew. The whole art grew, and then MMA like completely changed, right? And so it's the same with nunchucks too. I'm hoping that this is kind of like, I mean, I'm not the first gen nunchuckers. There have been freestylists before me, but I do think that putting it in the limelight will definitely create an evolution. Yeah. So, a good question. As a beginner, how much time do you recommend to practice? And I'm gonna give you the necessities. I think as a beginner, if you want to really rock out, this is gonna sound funny, but 10 minutes a day, every day. If you could just make it as regular as brushing your teeth, you may not even realize how good at brushing your teeth you are, but you're probably pretty good at brushing your teeth, but you just don't think about it subconsciously. You just do the motions, right? I think the biggest problem with nunchuck spinners is that they'll either pile on all their training at once, or it's just inconsistent. It's better to have 10 minutes every day of consistent training. In my opinion, it's better to train every day consistently for 10 minutes than it is to train once a week for 4 hours. I think that your retention and your sharpness will always stay. You'll always stay sharp. You'll always keep where you're at if you do it every day. And then if you can do more than 10 minutes, awesome. But just make sure that if you do it more, that you try not to skip more than one day. Like take one day off where you don't do 10 minutes, that's totally cool. But it's once you stop, once you do it like twice a week or once a week, you're going to start losing some of the things that you've worked for. You don't permanently lose it, but what will happen is you just have to re-scrape that rust off and get it back to going again. So consistently, if you just train, it'll just keep you sharp. 10 minutes a day will keep you sharp, and then anything you do on top of that is what you can learn with. So my recommendation is 10 minutes every day. If you can do more, awesome. Just make sure you keep it consistent to 10 at least. What's up, Santiago? Good to see you again, man. You kind of caught us at the end of this live stream. Leon says, just one question. How do you do both hand strikes or using the lower end of the nunchuck to strike, but with cool tricks? I mean, if you're doing nunchucks to strike, usually you don't want to do cool tricks. The combat chucks, unless we're talking about like, here, let me go back here. Unless we're talking about like a weapons demonstration, but generally speaking, if you're holding it low, you probably want to get nunchuck weapons, and your strikes, this is where you want to grab if you're doing strikes, right? Usually you want to grab up here if you're doing tricks, and the reason for that is because you have the rotations that happen here. Yes, you can do this, like especially if you have tapered chucks, it can be done with chucks that are also round or have ridges here, so as I spin I can reach and change my grab to a low grip. So it can start here, and I can even just give it a little bit of a swing to get my hands over here. You do run the risk of it flying out of your hands if you don't have control of this grip. The only other thing, especially if you're using double chucks, the only other thing is you can clutch it and then pull your grip out that way too. But once you go into strikes, if you're really going into the strikes, I would recommend against doing tricks. I feel like these are two totally different ballparks. When you're doing the strike motions, boom, you're really trying to strike and swing through and really it's just a totally different vibe than if you're trying to go for this types of wrist roll motions. So when you're thinking of combat or strikes, I would hold it low, and then you're really thinking about like whipping a towel, just boom, you're just whipping that towel. So it's like it's loose, and then sharp snap, and you create all this force, which will knock someone's head off, right? But there's no point in this stuff unless you're trying to impress them or confuse them. I really wouldn't do a whole lot of tricks. If we're talking about showmanship for martial arts demonstrations, you can still hold it up high and do your strikes. You just have to watch out. You could hit your face a little easier, so you can even, if you have singles, it's easier to just re-grip down here or use speed chucks, because speed chucks generally, let me see if I got some. Hold on 1 second, I'll show you. Speed chucks are great because, if I can find them, speed chucks are great because while you can't do as many tricks with them, the rope is so small here that your grip will be almost in the combat style, because your hand rolls will also be around that same area, because you don't grab it high for these things because there's not enough space. So if you have speed chucks, you can grip it lower and still do all your tricks while keeping the combat alive, because you don't have to go through so much. So that would be my recommendation. All right, going back here. And like I said, this is the last of the live stream. I hope you guys have been enjoying, and as always, if you do like what you see, I've got a little tip jar down here, paypal.me/flowtricks or patreon.com/flowtricks. If you do the Patreon, we have Zoom classes every Thursday, with the exception of this Thursday. I'm going to push it back because I'm out of town, but every Thursday we do Zoom classes where we train together and I can actually see you, and we work together to do really cool stuff. Yeah, so if you like what you see and you have a few extra bucks that you want to send as a donation, would super appreciate it. If not, that's okay too. I understand COVID's like tough for all of us. So either way, I'm going to keep teaching y'all. That's my goal. All right, I'm going to read off a few more things, and then I think we're just about ready to close off here. Yandertail, thanks. I've been practicing every day for half a year, and it definitely pays off. Congrats, man. Yeah, I can definitely see it. I think it looks fantastic. Yeah, you're most welcome. Yandertail says those Nunchucks look nice. Do you know where I can buy them? Yeah, sure. Okay, so here's the thing. These Nunchucks here are literally 12 years old. They're super old, right? They feel good. I have no idea where I bought them because it was so long ago. But in the old days, when I was looking for like good chucks to spin, I would go to martial arts stores and just grab them and try out different ones. I've tried so many different kinds of chucks. I do like these chucks. I think they're really fun. They've got a good grip to them. I like the fact that they have ridges on these, so that way your hand doesn't slip. I am really spoiled with the Dark Monk chucks because I can open up my grip and I'll hit a point where my hand just stops, so I can easily slide to a far grip. I wish that other chucks had like some sort of something at the end of them that could allow you to like slip down to the end without like overshooting it. Like this could just slide straight through. But all in all, I like it. I think martial arts stores is a good place to find some good chucks to play with. All right, Leon says thank you. You're most welcome. Most welcome. And Morticia, it's pretty late here too. I'll say my goodnight. I'm glad I caught you live. You're an amazing performer, and it's wonderful that you're following your passion. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it's super rewarding. I can't say enough about how difficult, how hard it was to make this a living. But now that it is, I don't know. I'm just really happy. Just really happy. All right, awesome to hear about the Zoom classes. Yeah, we have those. I really like seeing people. I like helping people, which is why I like the live streams. You know, and the Zoom classes. It's just like directly interacting with y'all is great. Aikiflow, did you start staff spinning after you moved over to Flow Arts or before? I started staff spinning. That was the second thing I learned. Nunchucks was the first, staff was second. When I did staff, I did bow staff in martial arts, not at all the style that I do now. It was more for like wrist locks and strikes. I didn't really work bow staff very much. So I would say that most of my staff training came from after nunchuck training, and then I transitioned all the nunchuck moves that I could over into staff, and then I started to try to learn what makes the staff unique. I think it's really important whenever you pick up anything new to first think, what are the moves that I know from my other experiences that I can put into this? But see, if you just do that, and I see people do this, and it's fine if you want to do it this way, but I really have to encourage everyone, if you pick up a second prop, one of the best things you can do is understand how your nunchuck training can be used for this other prop. But if you never expand beyond that, you might as well just spin a nunchuck. That's just how I feel. So like when you learn a staff, I started off by doing all my nunchuck moves and seeing what works, right? But it had the personality of my nunchuck spinning. In other words, you just see a staff and it would just look like I was spinning a nunchuck. So what really gave it its personality is after I transitioned those moves over, I started trying to understand what makes this prop different, what makes the staff unique and individual. And the more you capitalize on the personalities of the props that you're using, the more it will give a different vibe or a different feel as you spin them. And the cool thing is, once I understood the staff more and I started doing these staff individual moves that I didn't do with nunchucks, I went over to my chucks and realized that there were staff moves that I could pull over. So they start sharing their techniques with each other, but never forget the personality of the prop that you're using. I just find that super, like with rope dart and all of that, like it's so great to know nunchucks and staff and poi if you're doing a rope dart, but make sure you don't lose the essence of what makes the rope dart so cool and really like focus on that as well. But use all your other training as a good framework, a good solid grounding. That's my recommendation, at least. You can do however you like. It's freestyle. But that's just what I would urge. All right. Oh, and thank you, Santiago. And with that said, I want to thank you all again. It's always an honor. It's always a pleasure. It really is. And I can't wait to see where you all are. Please, if you have any videos, send them my way, ken.flotrix@gmail.com. And let's talk about next Sunday, huh? I will see you all then. Keep me up to date, though. Let me know how everyone's doing and what you're training with. And we'll just keep going onward and upward, everyone. All right. Talk to y'all soon.